What is going on, elite members? Welcome in. Super pumped and excited to dive into recruiting and prospecting on social media. I want you guys to try to help me make this engaging. So if you guys can comment below with hashtag live, if you're watching live, if you end up catching this later on the replay, hashtag replay. Today, we're going to be really diving into the concept of prospecting and recruiting on social media and how the idea of prospecting is different from actually recruiting, and how we can go from just having genuine connections with people over to the conversation of actually actively inviting them into taking a look at our business, okay, and getting them to sign up. So that's pretty much the goal of today's training. So if this is going to be something that you think is going to be valuable for you, just make sure to get something to write with so we can take some notes. This is something that I actively do in my business. This is something that I have been taught in my business. And really, there's a lot of principles here that I think are really important that we share about. But first, before I dive into it, I want to make sure that I'm speaking your language here. And I want to know like where you're at here when it comes to bringing new people into your business, inviting new people into your business, having them take a look, and then just having that process of talking kit options, talking, signing up options, overcoming objections. I'd love to know your perspective and where you're at with that. So here's how I'm going to formulate this question. So comment below the number 1 if you find recruiting easy. Okay, some of us are probably going to be like, Janet, I don't know how easy that is, really. It's very time consuming. There's lots to do here. Maybe it's not easy for you, and that's okay. So maybe the better question could be comment below with the number 2 if you struggle with the structure of prospecting and recruiting in general. Maybe you struggle with understanding who you can approach when it comes to recruiting. Maybe you struggle with the idea of actually getting into that conversation piece and making the point of your business and like actually talking about your business. Maybe some of you are really good at gaining conversations and engaging in conversations, but the idea of transitioning over to business and actually inviting somebody to take a look at the business and asking them questions and the whole 9 yards, that whole recruiting conversation, maybe that part intimidates you, or maybe you don't find that easy, or maybe for some of you, you've been doing the same thing and you're not really getting necessarily a ton of results with what you're doing. So I'm going to share a process here. And this is what I personally do. And I have my on days and I have my off days. And what I mean by that is there's a period of time where I will focus in on recruiting. And then there's a period of time where I don't necessarily focus on recruiting. And mostly the reason for my on and off times is because I have my personal brand, which is Solutions for Sellers, that keeps me busy. And I don't necessarily need to recruit a lot of people. But then I have my on times where it's like, it's time. It's time to start initiating these conversations. It's time to kind of put my blinders on, and it's time to start really going out there and prospecting. So here's what I want to mention to you first. The most important thing when it comes to recruiting is understanding that you need to have a connection with somebody before you can actually start asking them about business. Okay. That is my personal opinion on it. A lot of leaders have different perspectives when it comes to that. I'm not saying you won't be successful if you don't create connection first. However, if I'm doing things on a virtual business, or excuse me, if I'm marketing my business on virtually and I'm using social media platforms, I'm very much in the belief system that I need to make sure that I have a connection with people first, because first of all, that's who I am as a person, right? I want to connect with people. Secondly, I don't want to just attract anybody into my business. I don't want to recruit just anybody into my business. That's how you get bad apples. And that's how you get people that are really just not there for the business. And that's how you kind of get kidnappers too, right? Especially if you're only promoting like, hey, this great kit is available. This is why you should join. Then of course you're not going to get a lot of very focused people. That could change, but still. And the other reason is because that's what the platforms really care about. They care about the connection that you make with people, because we know when you have connections, that is creation, the beginning of a creation of a trust bridge. I like to call it the trust bridge. You are the person who wants the sale. Then you have the person here who's trying to decide if they want to buy or initiate any kind of business transaction with you. And what is missing in the in between is the bridge, is that trust bridge, right? And so that's something that's just built over time. So I want to preface it with that. That's just my personal opinion. I think that it's important to create connections with people, genuine connections. I think you will always have lifelong customers, lifelong, uh, people that are bought in when you just focus on the connection piece. And when that's consistent, even after you recruit the person, we can continue to maintain that connection piece with people afterwards. It just makes a huge difference in your business. And of course, you as a human, right? When you go back to just your values and who you are, and the people you care about. So, okay, so let's dive into this. First, there's a few things that I want to mention. First, my primary place that I like to recruit is from my personal timeline. Most of you do parties, right? But that's not the primary place, even though it is a really great place for you to start having those conversations. I like to use my personal timeline. And the reason why I like to use my personal timeline and engage in those conversations is because there are so many people and there's so much potential on your personal. In fact, I don't think I've recruited somebody from a party in years now. But I have recruited from events, but not necessarily like a Facebook party, right? So the majority of my recruiting has really just evolved from the fact that I am actively connecting with people on my personal timeline. I'm getting to know people, I'm conversating. I'm kind of calling the shots on my end, whether I want to actually engage in that conversation or invite them to take a look at an opportunity call. I make that judgment based on if I like that person, if they would bring new life into our culture, or if they would fit into our culture, and if I think they would be good at it, right? That's how I make my determination. And even if I don't necessarily think they would be good at it, that's where the conversation piece comes in, right? That's where you kind of make that determination is, are they motivated? Are they, maybe they're not knowledgeable, but they're willing to learn, right? They're willing to put themselves out there. They're willing to kind of take those actions and do the thing. Then I make those determinations. So as you guys can see, there's like a whole checklist of things that I go through in my brain before I even start to think about recruiting somebody. So first, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the checklist of things. So when I'm recruiting on my timeline, I do a number of things. You guys can write this down if this is helpful. Number one, I make sure that whoever I talk to, I have a feeling as to who they are as a person. So, I pay attention to their profile. So I pay attention to their profile photo, what's posted on their banner, the type of post that they made, their beliefs, what they're into, if they have a family, do they have a full-time job. I really try to do my best to kind of go through that little mini checklist of things before I even ask them the question. So what do I look for in this checklist of things? So first, I look for a profile picture of them, which shows that, they have the ability to take a picture of themselves, which I think is important. It's not a picture of their cat or their dog or their bird, right? It's them. So they're not afraid to show up on social media. It's something that I don't necessarily have to teach them, which is good. I look at their posts, which is important. So if they are posting a lot of negative language, or if they're just very controversial driven, or maybe they're just posting things that just don't align with me as a person, I wouldn't necessarily want to attract that person into my business. So I would leave. I wouldn't continue engaging. However, if they're posting things like, pictures of their family, or if they're posting, inspiring things, motivational things, if they're just being normal humans, even if it's not amazing posts, that's okay. I'm just looking for, my criteria is positive, driven, motivated people that are already showing their face online. Okay. For me specifically, I like to attract moms of littles because I'm a mom of little. However, even if you're not a mom of little, but you have goals and you want to make extra income, or you don't, I go through my criteria of things, right? Of who I'm actually talking to. And so I have that kind of in the back of my mind. And here's, once I go through my checklist and I go through my criteria and identify this is a good person, I like these things about that person. What I like to do is I like to build trust with engagement for a period of time. So the way that I build trust with engagement is I like to just make myself known on their profile. So I will do a number of things for a few days. Typically, my rule of thumb is like 3 days, right? I'm engaging on their profiles. I'm watching their stories, getting to know them. I'm replying. I'm hearting. I'm filling out their polls if they have any. If they have posts on their feed, I will comment on their posts. I will leave genuine comments instead of AI comments, which, side note, this is going to be a whole different training, but there's lots of people that use AI now for engagement, and I'm just not for that. I'm just not going to be one of those trainers that's going to show you how to do that. You could, get a little bot thing that comments on people's posts, but I feel like that loses the connection piece. Even though it helps your algorithm, I feel like that loses the connection piece. So I that's me. Like every time you see a comment from me, that's me. That's not a VA. That's not a bot or an AI. It's me. And the reason why is because I want to stay in tuned with my people. Anything that doesn't like help me stay in tuned with people and getting to know them, I just kind of, I put it aside and I don't use it. And sometimes AI can kind of make that complicated. But aside from that, so for 3 days, when I find somebody that I want to prospect, find somebody that fits my criteria, somebody that I want to engage with, I see that they're generally positive, they're posting pretty often, they're showing their face. And I just like them as a person. I want to get to know them as a person. I will begin engaging with them through a 3-day period. And so what that means is I'm building that trust bridge with them and I'm engaging with them on social media. So how I'm doing that, I'm leaving genuine comments, like I mentioned. I'm hearting their stories. I might be talking to them via stories. And it's not me talking about business. It's not me talking about, what I do and would you be open to taking a look. I'm not doing that yet. And the reason why I'm not doing that yet is I want to see how they respond to me. I want to see how they reciprocate to me. And if I'm getting replies and I'm getting genuine responses back, and I'm taking the time to find topics to talk about through their posts and through what they're actually showing on social media and what's available for me to look at, and they're responding to it, then I'm building that connection piece. Does that make sense the way I'm verbalizing that? So for example, if I come across a mom's page and she has 2 kids or 3 kids, whatever, and she posts pictures of her kids, I will, instead of just commenting, oh, great picture of the kids, of you and the kids, this is awesome, I will probably comment below with a genuine comment, but then I'll probably send her a message. And it'll probably be something like, hey, I know we don't know each other on here. However, I really love the fact that, you did this activity with your kids. I did that at one point too with my 2 kids, and it was so much fun. But anyway, love seeing this content. I love seeing family oriented content. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I love your content that you're posting, and it was really inspiring to me. Right? That was kind of a rough example, but you got to get the point. The whole point is I'm taking a topic that we can relate to, that we have in common, and we're making that a conversation piece. Okay. So I mentioned 3 days of engaging with them, right? With these 3 days of engaging with them before I start prospecting, before I ask a question, before I invite them to take a look at the business or whatever, in that 3-day period, I'm commenting and engaging on their socials, but I'm also creating conversation touch points. I like to call them conversation touch points. I want to have at least 3 conversation touch points in this 3-day period before I go into the ask. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, as I mentioned, right, I'm going to engage on their profile, but now I'm going to create conversation touch points. So I already talked about her kids and how, oh, I did that same thing with my kids too. How awesome, very cool. I love your content. right? That's my first conversation touch point. That means that I tapped into her inbox and I talked about something that we can both relate to in order to open the door for back and forth conversation. Okay. So she may respond to that. And if she says something and we're conversating, that's great. Maybe I'll carry on the conversation for a little bit. And then, at some point it'll probably be mostly brief for the most part. However, some people are very talkative and they're very social, and it may turn into like a longer conversation. It all really just depends on who you're talking to. So when I give you these tips and these strategies, understand that you have to kind of keep it fluid. You have to keep it kind of liquid. And I like to say that because it's not always going to be so stagnant and staccato. It's not always going to be so rigid. Conversations are fluid. And so it's very important when you're having these conversations to understand that even though I give you a strategy, you have to kind of be in there in the inbox conversating with them. I can't be behind you and tell you exactly what to say and how to say it. You just have to be a human. So that's my best tip for you is keep it fluid when you're having conversations with people, which means just be a human being. If there are talking points that you two can talk on, great. If there's things that she's posting that you can make a comment about, or you can give a compliment on, or you can add to, or you can give value on, then do that. That's awesome, because it's going to do is just going to play into the human experience, and it's going to allow you to create a good connection with somebody, which that's what these platforms care about, right? Connections create the conversations that create the conversions. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So day one, engaging on their stuff, right? If they have any new posts or stories, engaging, hopping into their inbox to talk about something, right? To leave a genuine compliment, a genuine comment in their inbox about something that we can relate on. Okay. So here's day two. Okay. Day two, I'm probably going to post something. Okay. And I'm going to go and look on their profile again. Okay. So their name is now has been written because they've replied to me and they've reciprocated with me. I've written down their name somewhere, maybe in my customer workflow Trello board or on a piece of paper. And I've just written their name down. And if you do it on Trello, by the way, it's really, really cool because you can just create a prospecting card or prospecting list, create a card with their name on it. And then in the description, just write about, what you guys talked about. We've made our first touch point. This is the conversation that we had. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second on Trello. But then it helps you keep track of the people that when you sit down and do your power hours, when you sit down and do your daily TMO, you can kind of go back to those conversations and kind of revisit like where you're at. Like, okay, we've had one touch point so far, right? So it really helps you kind of stay on track. And then let's talk about day two, right? So now I'm prospecting day two, going back onto their profile, seeing if they posted anything new, leaving genuine comments. And then once again, this would be the part where I would go and make a touch point again into their inbox and engage with them in conversation. And so at this point, my strategy tends to be, the first one was just an open conversation based on something that they posted about. And I wanted to create something that we had in common and have a relatable conversation, open the door and see what kind of response I get back. Day two, I'm really hoping that they're posting something in their stories so that I can come at them at a different angle versus just hopping in with a second conversation out of the blue. So my second touch point tends to be from a story or even from a reel. So if they posted something in their stories, maybe they're talking about a drink or them on vacation, whatever it is that they're talking about, I'm simply replying to them. Okay. I'm simply replying to them. And so when I reply to them, again, it's something that they said, right? Something that they posted about in their stories. There's conversation that's being created there because I'm taking a look at what they're saying and doing, and I'm paying attention and I'm creating conversation from it. Okay. So simple things that you could do if they're posting about, again, this is situational, right? Really depends on what it is that they're posting. So it's hard to give you an exact thing to say. However, let's say she's talking about, she's in her stories, this person that you're prospecting, and she's talking about the fact that she's going on vacation this summer and all these things, or she's talking about her kids. Well, then I would say, hey, that's so awesome. Hey, it's me again. I know we chatted a little bit yesterday. I would reply to her story. I know we chatted a little bit yesterday. So cool. You guys are going on vacation. We actually just got back from our vacation not too long ago, and this is where we went, and we had so much fun with the kids. Where are you guys going? Right. So again, very just simple situational type of conversation. Maybe she'll reply back to me. And if she says, oh, I'm going here, I'll reply back and say, continue to just be a human, right? And I'd probably say something like, oh, that's so awesome. I've never been there before. We typically just do beach vacations. So yeah, yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. Are you guys doing an Airbnb? Have you guys been there before? How do you handle all that with the kids? I know vacationing with kids sometimes is kind of, it can be kind of stressful. Whatever the situation is, I will just create conversation from it. Okay. And it doesn't have to be weird, guys. Okay. We have to release the idea that we're being weird. We're not being weird. We're just engaging with people on social media. And it's easier when you're connecting with people that are like-minded and that are kind of like you, because you have commonalities, you have things that you can relate on, and it becomes easy for you to have those kind of conversations. I might even give her a tip, right? So if she's talking about something and maybe I have a vacation tip that I give her, right? Because we all have kids, or maybe she's mentioned something to me, I might help her and give her a recommendation on something, right? But the point is, we're just finding that second touch point. We're having a second opportunity to have a conversation about something. Okay. All right. And so now we've come to day three of prospecting. Okay. So the only way that I make it to day 3 of prospecting with a potential prospect is if I've seen them reciprocate to me, if they're posting consistently in some kind of way. Again, I'm feeling my criteria of things. I want to see them already posting in stories. I already see them already posting on their feed so that I have ways to connect with them. It's organic, it's genuine, but also I'm thinking about if they join my business, they're already going to know how to do these things. We're just slipping in the products in the business in here, right? So that she can add that to her content. And so it already becomes a really good fit. Does that make sense the way I'm verbalizing that? So when I make it to day 3, my conversation might look a little different, right? I'll still engage with their content, but I may say something like, I before I get into that, actually, I may actually dive in and invite to something, because I'm thinking about the conversion portion. Okay, we've connected, right? We've conversated. Now we're in the conversion portion. How do we get into the conversion portion? There's a number of ways you can do it. My favorite way to get somebody into a conversion conversation, even when I know at the back of my mind they're probably not going to convert right then and there, which is okay, is still, I like to just invite them to something. Okay. So I may ask them if they're open to hearing about something, or I may invite them to an opportunity call. And there's a number of ways that you can do this. Okay. There are really smart strategic ways. I actually have some scripts saved. And I believe your Elite Academy resource boards, if you haven't gotten that already, make sure to grab it. There should be some really good scripts in there. Let me see if I can open this up really quickly. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Which, by the way, if you guys have ways that you can have conversations with people, use it. Be consistent with it. Let's see. So, a couple of things that I could do is I can invite them to something, right? So if I've made it to day 3 of the conversation, what I might do is I will pop back into their inbox, but this time I'm going to compliment them. And when I compliment them, I'm also going to ask if they're open. So here's how I do this, okay? Again, I'm literally walking you through the blueprint. This is exactly what I do in my business to open up conversations about business, okay? So we've made it to day 3. She's reciprocated. We've engaged together. Now we're getting to the conversion portion. I want to invite them to something. We have a good vibe, we have good relationship going on. Now I'm ready to invite. So I'll say something like, "Hey name, happy Friday. I just want to pop in here really quickly and just let you know it's been great chatting with you the last couple of days. And I have to tell you, I love the way you show up on social media. I love the way that you are God focused and I love, or faith focused maybe. And I love the way that you are just so authentic and genuine. I actually look for people like you to bring into the business that I'm doing. And I'd love to see if you keep your income options open because I feel like you would be really good at this. If not, no biggie." So you see how I formulated that question? I first started by saying, "Hey," right? I was a human. And then I went into the why I'm asking them first before I just go and blankly ask them. Okay. So why I asked this person is because I like these things about her. I complimented her. I left genuine compliments. I was very sincere in what I was saying about that person. And that is what led me to go and ask if they keep their income options open. Okay. If not, no biggie. I always like to end it off with if not, no biggie so that they have an out and they don't feel cornered when I ask them that question. Okay. So the reason why I do that is because people like to feel complimented. People like to hear nice things about them. Especially if you're giving them compliments on social media. Some people don't realize how good they are on social media. I know so many people that I haven't been able to recruit yet that are so good on social media and they've never sold anything. Like they've never sold any products. They've never been an affiliate. They've never joined direct sales. And they just don't realize that they're already talented, right? They don't realize just how simple this direct sales business can be. And so you're kind of setting the tone at the very beginning of that conversation, giving them a compliment, being genuine about it, right? And so when I do that, it gives people the purpose as to why I'm asking them specifically. This also helps eliminate the whole blanket text thing that people get. Like some people just copy paste messages to a bunch of people and just see like what actually like hits, right? Which to me is not a great strategy. Like I'm into saving scripts and having guidelines and kind of a starting point to have conversations with people. But what I'm not into is just blankly just sending it out to random people, hoping somebody says yes. You could probably recruit people that way. Cool. But at the same time, it's like it's not genuine, it's not sincere. And I don't think it's just a great way to recruit, especially if you want to build like a meaningful business. So that's what I would ask, right? I would compliment them again, and then I would go into, I really think you would be good at this. By chance, do you keep your income options open? Right? I actually have another script here. Let me pull it up so I can show you because it might be helpful for you if I read it out. And sometimes I have these memorized, sometimes I don't have these memorized, right? So here's one. Okay. "Hey name, I love following you on Facebook. As you can see, your page is fun." I put in quotations, right? "Fun, inspirational, motivational. I love the way that you show up. And you're a total rock star. I'm not sure if you've seen what I've been doing on Facebook, but I'm totally curious because I enjoy your content and I love how genuine you are on social media. Do you by chance keep your income options open? If so, are you open to taking a look at what I have going on in order to help bring in maybe some extra income into your household? If not, that's totally cool." Does that make sense? So it's kind of a long winded one, right? However, it's very, very simple. You can very genuinely invite people to things. You can feel like a good human at the end because you're not being spammy or weird. You're not coming from left field about it. And you're really focusing in on asking the right people. When you do this process correctly, right? You're prospecting, you're taking the time to first create a checklist for yourself. What type of person do you actually want to attract to your business? What do you want them to be able to do? What type of person are you looking for? Are they moms? Are they positive people? Are they middle-aged women? Are they retired women looking for extra income? What does that criteria look like? Genuinely engage with them for 3 days, right? Connect with them on a personal level, Create relatable topics that you guys can actually talk about in that 3-day period. Conversate, right? Create those touch points, day 1, day 2, and then the third day is when you ask, right? And then just be a normal human if they say no to you, because most people are going to say no at first. Most people will, right? And the reason why is because people don't know what they don't know, right? Most people are going to say no to you because A, they don't know you from, whoever, right? They just don't know you well enough. Even though they probably got good vibes from you, they just don't know you well enough. And then B, even when you ask the question, right? You're planting the seed. And that's what you want to do. Write down plant the seed. You're planting the seed. You've asked the question, they initially said no to you, but at the back of their heads they're like, that's interesting. And so what's going to happen now, and here's what's really cool about asking these questions, is what's going to happen now is they're going to start stalking your page a little bit. Not everybody will, but some will. And they're going to be like, who's this person all about? What is she all about? Is this somebody that I can trust? This is why it's so important that you are showing up on your personal timeline. Because if you're going to go out there and prospect, the worst thing you can do is not have anything posted, not have any reels, not have anything in your stories, right? Not actually show up. Because then they're like, who is this person? I can't learn about this person, who this person is and what they're about, because there's no content, there's no context besides the picture on their profile and their post that they made last week. Okay. So if you're going to be prospecting on your personal timeline, you want to make sure that you have content that's being posted, that you are showing up in your content. And then you want to make sure that you're also talking about business and you're talking about products and you're allowing people into your world via stories, via posts, via reels, right? That's why these things are so important, because people are going to be able to get kind of an assumption of who you are and get to know you through your content. So even if that person said no initially, because you've engaged back and forth and they've reciprocated, the algorithm's going to show your content to each other. Okay. And even if they say no to you, this is why it's important to continue engaging with them. Even if it's not every day, even if it's just leaving a genuine comment, right? Even if it's commenting in their stories and getting them to reply back to you, that's okay too. The point is they get to see you more, right? Marketing rule of 7. Who remembers the marketing rule of 7? They need to see you at least 7 times, right? For them to really kind of get an idea and maybe even make a decision with you. It could be a purchasing decision. It could be finally they're invited. They come to that opportunity call, right? So anyway, that's the rule there. Okay. So let's talk really quickly about what if you get somebody that says, sure, I'm open to taking a look. What do you do? Right? What do you actually do when somebody says, yeah, I'm open to taking a look? So here's what I like to do, right? If I ask them, because that's my favorite way to do it, is are you open? Are you open? Would you be open? By chance, are you already monetizing your social media channels? If not, would you be open to taking a look on how you can do that? Right? Those are simple things that you can ask these questions. And so let's say they do say yes to you. What if they're like, yeah, sure, I'm open, or I'm not quite sure, but sure, I'll take a look. I don't know if I'll actually be into this kind of stuff, but I don't mind being a fly on the wall or something. Like I'll take a look. So then this is going to be the next phase in your conversation. You have now confirmed yes. You have now confirmed somebody's interested in information. So what do you actually send them? So I'm going to share with you what I like to do. Okay. Again, everybody's different when it comes to all of this, but here's what I like to do. I like to take a look at my company and find those resources first. Okay. So if your company is really great about providing resources, start there. Okay. So if you have, let's say, an opportunity video that explains what the business is, how to get started, the compensation plan, the story behind your business. I know we do in our company. A lot of companies do, but I know there's a lot of companies that don't have those resources. So if you don't already have one, I want to encourage you to be the leader, okay, in your business. Be the tip of your own spear. Make yourself stand out a little bit and create a video. So you can easily hop onto StreamYard, create a 5-minute video, and talk about your business, right? Talk about the opportunity that is Park Lane. Talk about the opportunity that is Color Street. Talk about the opportunity of your affiliate business, whatever kind of business you're in, right? And make a quick video. Go through your information and your resources that your company explains and start really kind of formulating that for yourself. Okay. So, simple things that you could do for this 5-minute video, if you choose to go this route, is you can talk about, how the company was started, how, what are the special products in this company and why are they special, the opportunity itself, right? And how easy it is to run a business, or not easy, but how simple it is to run a business. And then, the support, the culture, and go through the options of, how to actually get started, right? So that's what I would say in that short video for sure. That's what I would do. And then what you could do is, when you have that as a resource video, you can always save it somewhere as like a Vimeo link or an unlisted YouTube video, and then you could use it for like all your prospects, for people that want information on the business. Now, if you're wondering how do you do that in 5 minutes, I have a few 5-minute videos as well. However, if it doesn't work, maybe it needs to be 10 minutes long. Make it as long as it needs to be, as long as it's not any longer than like 15 minutes, because you got to be able to hold the attention span of somebody. And if it's like 45 minutes, then it's tough to like keep people on, right? So that's one thing that you can send. And I typically would say something like, hey, absolutely super excited you're taking a look. Here's a quick little video that actually breaks down the general concept of, the business model, who we are, what we're about. Let me know when you get done watching this. Just reply back with the word done when you do. So I like to do that because then they watch the video, right? And then when they reply back with the word done, you can kind of go through and follow up with them and see where they're at, what questions they have. And then you can kind of think about that next step. Okay. And then, so let's talk about a different option. What if you don't have or don't want to make a resource video like that? Even though I definitely recommend you doing it. If you don't have one, be the leader in your company and just create one. Because then your downline, when you have like a team of people, they can use that video and they see that it's you, right? You're being the leader there. It just creates a whole different experience. It's great for culture. But it's also great for your team because you've created now a great resource that they can use, and they can send, and they can say, this is my leader. She actually created this video, right? Instead of this high up person in the company that isn't accessible, right? Does that make sense? It makes a huge difference. So that's one way. If you don't use a resource video, I like to invite somebody to an opportunity call. Opportunity calls, they're great. So if your company or your upline or your team does opportunity calls, okay, this is a great place to invite them to. So, if an opportunity call, if you don't know what it is, it essentially is, you are, and I've done this for my team too, you go live, you have like a Zoom presentation type thing. I like to use a slideshow. And in the Zoom call, it's typically like 20 minutes or less. I try to make it like to the point. But in the opportunity call, I am welcoming people in, okay? And I'm talking about the business. I'm talking about the opportunity that is Park Lane, the opportunity that is Color Street, the opportunity that is this business. And then I'm sharing like success stories and then ways for people to get started. So opportunity calls are very, very, I would say they can be very powerful if they're not too long, but also if you are in invite mode, if you're consistently inviting people. All right. And when you invite them, essentially what happens is you tell them the date and the time of when the opportunity call is going to be. You send them the Zoom link. You try to hop on with them, send them reminders. Hey, it's about to start here in the next 10 minutes. Are you still joining us? Right. And then have them join live. And then that gives you the opportunity afterwards to follow up with them and see if they're ready to get started or if they have any questions. Okay. So it essentially pitches the business to them without you really having to do a lot. Now, if you're not in a position where your company offers opportunity calls or you're not able to do opportunity calls, that's okay. Make your own. Make your own. You have absolutely the potential to do it. And honestly, you can do it once a season. You can create one video, create a duplicatable process to where it's once a season, okay? You're creating a brand new video, and make sure it's relevant, make sure it's to the point, make sure it's good, right? And then you can just send people to watch that. Okay. Another pro tip that you can do is you can have it on your business page. If you have a business page, you can do every single Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, have people tune into the opportunity call. And by the way, if you have one video that's generic enough that you can repurpose and reuse, you can run that same video every single Monday and have people hop on and watch it. And then you can have it, make it look like it's actually live. And the whole point is people are getting the information. And if you're consistently inviting new people in, you don't have to recreate that video over and over again, if that makes sense. You can plan out some very simple engagement questions. We have a whole training on this that I'm working on so that you guys can get the information, but we'll make sure that we have a training video on exactly how to do an opportunity call. Including a slideshow deck that you can adapt and you can actually use if you're ready to create your own opportunity calls. But that's the second phase of that conversation, is inviting them to take a look at a video, inviting them to an opportunity call. You can even, if people are interested, you can even invite them into your ATM group if you have an ATM group. An ATM group is an add tag message group. So you add them into the group that has the information, you tag them in the resource that has the information, and then the end portion is message. You message them to follow up to see if they've taken a look at the information. So this is what I've done also in actually my previous company they had just left. We had an ATM group. And the powerful thing about ATM groups is if you have it just for business information, you can easily do some really cool things with your company and with your leaders. You can set up interviews with people that are killing it in the business and host them inside of that group. Because once people join the group, right, and they're watching the information, even if they don't join right then and there, they're going to get notifications and they're going to start seeing lives in there of people that have created success in the company. And so that gives them insight into testimonials, it gives them insight into the business. And it's playing into that marketing rule of 7 because they're consistently seeing it over and over again. So that's kind of the power behind ATM groups as you start to influence over time. Okay. Okay. So that's the third strategy that you can do in that second phase of the conversation. And so once you start really getting in these conversations, guys, really the most important thing, if you want to close conversations, right? Let's talk about actually closing. There's a few things that you can do. Hold on one second. I think, let me actually pull up these scripts here because I think these are really, really important. And I think, oh, I just had it. Overcoming objections. Okay. If you go into your Elite Academy resource board, okay, the Elite Academy resource board, there's an option there where it says overcome objections. Okay. There are some really good conversation pieces in here that are going to help you with the portion of the conversation where you're actually talking to that person and they're coming up with their objections. Okay. It's really important to have something here. So for example, what if they say, well, I really don't have any sales experience, right? I'm so glad you said that because we do not sell anything. We just share our great products on social media, and this leads to the opportunity. I mean, aren't you already recommending products to your friends? So why not make some extra money doing it, right? So you can restructure that response in a way that fits your personality and the way that you speak best, but that gives you kind of a guideline to get started. Another thing that you can say, well, I just don't really want to bug my friends or family. Here's a response in here to overcome objections. Thank goodness. I don't want you to bug your family and friends either. That is not what I do. I share what I'm doing and sometimes pick their brains to see if there's anyone they know this would be great for. I find what people have need of, and then I try to fill that need, whether it be with our products or extra need for income. I simply use a referral approach, asking them whom they know. Sometimes they identify themselves. We do that all the time, asking for referrals for babysitters, dry cleaners, etc. Does that make sense the way I'm verbalizing that? There's some really good scripts in here, guys, to help you overcome some of the objections. and really get to the point where you're having those nitty gritty conversation pieces and overcoming some of their concerns. Another thing that's really important to remember too is that you don't necessarily need to lead with the kit every single time. How many of you tend to lead with the kit, right? I don't have people join the business for the kit. Okay. And I think we need to get away from the idea that you're joining the business for the kit. Maybe that's an incentive. Maybe somebody saw a promotion or something that's cool. Maybe they want the products. That's great. Sometimes the kit is helpful. However, what is the problem that you're actually solving with these people, right? It always goes down and it goes back to problem solving. Maybe they need extra income. Do they want to quit their full-time job? Are they trying to pay for summer classes for their kids? Are they in a position where life is expensive and they need to make that extra income? So that really is the nucleus of what you're trying to get to. You're trying to figure out how this business will solve their problem that they're having. But in order to do that, we need to figure out what the problem is. So simple questions that I like to ask, like once they watch the video, once they attend the opportunity to video, I go through and I ask them like, hey, what did you like best about the video? What did you like most about that call? Right? And I try to extract information from them. Right? So sometimes some people might say, oh, I love the fact that it's an affiliate type business. Right? I love the fact that we can make ongoing sales when people subscribe, right? I love the fact that, I can work this at my own time. Okay. And if they give you those kind of responses, that is the part where you can start really asking questions and really getting to know who they are and how to actually get them to close. Okay. So it really is dependent on what they say. So if they say something like, oh, I love that I can work my business on my own time, right? If I just, I really like the fact that, I don't have to do this from morning to night. I would typically respond with like a personal testimonial on that, right? Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that part too. That was actually the reason why I actually joined, was because I knew I didn't have to be on my phone from morning to night. And I have 2 kids, so I can't be on my phone all day long, right? And so that might be my response to them. And then right afterwards, I might ask them, so quick question for you, not to jump ahead, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely do you think you'd be able to, come and join us? Or how, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you be more likely to come and join us? Or would you want to come and join us here maybe in the next day or so? Or where are you at with that? Obviously I'm improving from my head, but I would go through and ask those questions. I would go and ask them, hey, so quick question for you, not to jump the gun here, but would you be interested in getting started today? If not, what other questions can I answer to help you get started? Right now, those are closing questions, obviously. So you have to really kind of determine how that conversation is going. Are they reciprocating to you? Are they being responsive? Are they actually watching the video? Are they genuinely interested? Does it sound like there's a problem there that you can solve, right? Are they really looking for that extra income? So that's when I kind of make that determination whether I'm going to close them or not. Okay. But there's so many ways that you can do it. I like to ask the one on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested in you in getting, how interested are you in getting started today? Right. On a scale of 1 to 10. Or what other questions do you have? Because I'd love to help you get started if really you want to start making an extra income right now. I also like to use their responses in my response. So if they say, well, I'm trying to, save up money for to pay for summer classes. Hey, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in getting started today? I know you said you wanted to start paying for those summer classes. I'd love for this to be that gateway to make that happen for you. You see how I'm using their response and my response? These are great ways to close it because it also shows that you're paying attention. And it's taking that thing that they want and you're throwing it back at them and saying, this could be the opportunity that's going to help you accomplish that goal. I hope that's making sense the way I'm verbalizing it. Let me see if I have another thing in here that I use. I have so many scripts, you guys, like so many scripts. Hold on one second here. Let's see. Hold on. Let's say they don't get back to you. Okay. Let's talk about follow-up really quickly. Let's say they don't get back to you, or maybe they're like, oh, I haven't watched it yet, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe they watched it, but they're just not ready to commit yet. How do you follow up with them? Right. I like to have be under the understanding that, first of all, I know that it's not always going to close right then and right there. Right. I know that most conversations and most open asks is just going to be the idea of me planting a seed. Okay. And I know when the seed is planted, they're going to be watching some of my stuff. The people that are truly interested, they're going to be watching some of my content. And it is up to me, it's my job to go through and follow up with them, even if it takes weeks, even if it takes months. Like, I've had people after a year of watching me finally join my team. Okay. So this is definitely, whatever seeds you're planting now, expect to harvest maybe 60 to 90 days from now. Okay. Some people longer than that. So I think having that understanding, realizing that that's kind of the realistic way of looking at recruiting and prospecting, I think that really, really helps. Okay. So here are some ways that you can follow up. Let me know if you have any questions. I also want to introduce you to a couple of awesome business partners that I'm working with. You'll love them. So you can always do like a three-way chat thing. So I always say, hey, let me know if you have any questions. Because I'd love to be able to introduce you to some people that I work with. Sometimes putting them in that community and introducing them to the people that you are working with really helps create that culture and show them what kind of culture you have and how supportive and how amazing your company is and how amazing your people are, because then it helps them feel like, oh, okay, this person has a great support system. It sounds like I'll have a good support system too. This is awesome. And it's also great for them to hear from other people, testimonials and their experiences, because it kind of like locks it in for them, right? It's not just you. Another thing that you can say is you can set up a follow-up time when you give them the initial information. So so if you send them the information, you can say, hey, here's the information, here's the video. When would be the best time for me to follow up and touch base with you? Would tomorrow at 5 work? Right? So if you give them the information, you want to give them time to watch it. If they can't watch it right then and there, maybe they're at work, maybe they have kids, maybe they have something going on. Set up your follow-up time. Hey, so when would work for me to follow up and touch base with you? Would tomorrow at 5 work for you? And if they say, yeah, sure, I'm sure I'll watch it by tomorrow. Okay, great. I'll touch base with you then. Okay. Again, you're kind of setting the tone there, right? You're setting up your next follow-up, which makes it a lot easier for you to follow up with people. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I have any other scripts in here to share with you guys. You guys should see my boards. There are so many scripts. I mean, I have so much stuff in here. I really need to actually take the time to organize it. Sometimes when I'm sitting down and I'm working, I will create a board and I'll put a bunch of scripts in it and then I'll forget to organize it. And so it's like all over my boards. So what I will do, guys, hashtag value in the comment section if you found this training valuable. What I will do is I'm going to go into the Elite resource board. I'm going to make sure that there's some really good scripts in there. I'm going to go through all my boards and find like my best ones and some of the ones that I've used recently, and I'll pop them in there so that you guys can have kind of a better place to take a look at some of those things. And you have kind of that conversation transition period where you can see where the transition happens, how to actually formulate the question and all of that jazz. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Voxer me if you have any particular questions about anything that we've talked about today. And then I will see you next Thursday on our next call. Thanks, guys, for hopping on, and I will see you next time.